Welcome to Vital Signs, where we focus on all things health, peak human performance, and your greatest asset, of course. Health is wealth. I'm Jen Godet, your host, and you are in for a treat today because we are going to open today on money mindset, financial health and well-being, and how can we align our vision and purpose with our financial goals. And we're going to bring into later today all things brain health, brain regeneration, and how can you be a peak human performing when it comes to that side of things. I'm here now with our first guest today, JP Newman of Thrive FP. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jen.
Okay, so we talk a lot about health here being a holistic thing, and part of health, it's your physical, your spiritual, your mental, your social, emotional health, and of course your financial health, which, let's face it, for most people, that piece of it is the biggest stressor.
Yes.
So many people are living paycheck to paycheck, especially in the last couple of years with inflation, and it just sort of seems that we're focused on money and it's getting more expensive to live, but we don't know what to do about it.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about how much money mindset and the stories we tell ourselves about money play into this kind of not able to climb out of that paycheck to paycheck scenario, and how can we shift that thinking?
Definitely. So, I think first of all, there's a whole money game, and it's financial literacy. And a lot of us, they don't teach us in school. How do you learn what the game even is or how to play the rules of the game? And if you don't play the rules, you're ultimately losing. You just by default are losing, which is why you're you're living paycheck to paycheck. You're not sleeping well at night. You're having the stresses that you're having. So number one, you have to realize that there is a game actually to money, which takes rules. But before there's a game, most of us have a money story. And the money story that we got probably came when you were a young kid, and it probably came from your parents. And whether you know it or not, you were likely living your money, your day-to-day, by these stories. For instance, money doesn't grow on trees. Money is the root of all evil. Money can't buy you love. We go on and on and on. And these parents and our people at school, they drill these values. And for a lot of people, whether it's through religion or through your friends, there's a real negative connotation to money. Mm-hmm. But here's the truth about money. It's neither negative or positive. It's actually positive if used right. But let's just say it's neutral and it's a currency, which is why they call money currency. And if you almost think of money as an energy thing, just like your health is, how do you know when you're healthy? You have lots of energy. How do you know when you feel financially safe or wealthy? You have lots of currency.
Yes.
And that's why they call it currency. So then the answer is, can you actually start to identify what are those money stories that maybe are holding me back? I think for a lot of people, it's like, just put money under my mattress and one day it'll all work out. I don't need to know what I'm spending. I'll just try to save more whenever I can, and hopefully it'll all work out. But they really don't have any command on how much they're spending, earning, or any real plan. And when you don't have a plan, you tend to be confused or just unclear. And when you're unclear, you tend to live in a lot of fear and scarcity because you really don't know how you're going to make it from year to year. And that's really a hard thing to do. So what I really encourage people to do is come up with a basic, like, how much do you spend? Just know, and it's really simple actually. Go to your credit cards. Most people charge everything or ultimately pay by their credit cards or their checking account. Figure out what do you spend with your credit card statements and your checking account, which is paying for all these things. Mm-hmm. Usually it's one or two places you'll find it. And you probably have pay stubs, you probably have your income tax statements or your CPA, your accountant, or you did on TurboTax, and figure out what you're spending and just know the difference. Can you save $5,000 or $10,000 a year? Are you spending more than you're making? Like, let's just get real from the beginning and see where we're at now. And that's actually a lot of empowerment. Because I noticed that a lot of people that I've counseled through the years, they have no idea. They just know it's not enough, and it puts you in immediate fight or flight, which takes your cortisol, which takes all that stuff in your body. And once you're in that kind of fight or flight, it's really hard to not only feel safe, but to feel good. And so I think that's like step one.
Absolutely. And I love that you said get in touch with your money story, because I mean, a classic one that I hear, and I work with business owners a lot, and I was in healthcare for many, many years. And a lot of the stress came from, I'm going to be a bad person.
Yes.
If I am no longer living paycheck to paycheck, or somehow money is going to change who I am as a human being. And it looks like I am missing promotions because I'm self-sabotaging myself. And so that impacts our ability to gain more in our paycheck and our ability to enhance our quality of life. And I'll be frank, I had that blessed are the poor mentality. I went to Catholic school from pre-K through 12,
Right.
and you're a bad person if you're wealthy. And so it really was something I had to work through.
Yeah.
So for the people at home that have these stories and they're not even wanting to look at their budget because money is such a negative connotation, what is their first step so that they can bridge that gap and get to the point where they can actually take a look at where they're starting?
I would say it'd be a really fun exercise into figuring out what your money story is, and if it could be different, what else could it be? And I'd almost say give yourself a chance to edit and rewrite your money story to something that might be more helpful. Because like you, Jen, I actually had the same problem. When I started making money, I actually went into a panic attack because I thought, what will my friends think about me? If I drive up in this car, how are people going to see me? And the real truth was this: I didn't trust myself because I didn't know what it was going to be like to have money, so I didn't trust myself. And I thought maybe my marriage would fall apart, that people would use me. I had all these fears from my childhood, from these money stories. And it took me a while to realize, because I didn't know, I wish I could have had my own advice back then, that if I could have trusted myself and followed better money stories, like for instance, what I've learned through the years, Jen, is like with money, there's so many people that I can help. And there's so many causes that I can like contribute to. I get to vote now in ways I never could vote before. It is so much fun surprising my friends when I know they're in need and just taking care of a problem for them that really isn't hard for me, but it's hard for them. The amount of gratitude and love and energy that you can create. But I didn't know this until I started reworking my stories, and also some time of having some abundance and not feeling in scarcity. And it's funny, you know what the Bible says about this, not to get too religious, that the one time you can ask God to prove himself that he exists is when you give, you will get tenfold back, and he'll prove it to you again and again and again. And I've actually found that through my life. It's amazing to me that this expression, give till it hurts, and I'm not saying everybody should. You got to give what you can afford to give.
I grew up with give till you hurt.
Right, give till it hurts. But I do find that when you finally, like, instead of like, most people are not in flow with money, they're not in the currency, they're like, oh God, I gotta pay the rent. And what are you doing? Almost like with your stomach muscles, you're tensing up. And just like your body health, if you're tensing up that like energy part of you, guess what you're doing? You're blocking the flow. You're actually blocking the current. And I find that once you get into a plan that makes sense to you, it doesn't have to be a crazy plan. This is your dream, no one else's dream. Whatever that number is, you're not trying to be wealthy for someone else. Wealth to you might just be spending time with my family, not worrying about my rent. Like that could be a big deal. I've got my basics covered. I get to go out for that fancy meal. I'm a foodie. Once I'm going to go to the best restaurant I can find, a new restaurant once a month, like whatever it is, it really doesn't matter. But once you find your flow and your mindset, you are a wealthy person. Because wealthy is not defined by a number, it's defined by a mindset.
And it's quite frankly, it's defined by how we feel and can we sleep at night. And you know, the show is about peak human performance, and the stress associated with not taking this action is keeping us up at night worrying about, am I going to pay the rent? Am I going to do these things? And I'm going to give you guys what I did. And I don't really talk about this very much, but for me, I mean, I was a paycheck to paycheck. I'm eating ramen noodles sometimes to to make sure that I can get my kid where she needs to be early on. And I still always paid myself first, no matter how little my pay was that week or how tight that was. In today's world, it would be like, I'm not going to go to Starbucks, and that's going to be $7 that I can put away. But I saved the minimum, and I started with $25 a month. I kid you not. I was in college.
Wow.
And I started with $25 a month, and I was 18 years old, $25 a month, and I put it on autopilot. And so it became my first bill. My first bill before I paid any other bills was, I'm investing in myself. And I never thought about it again. And then as I got into better places, instead of elevating my lifestyle and buying the car or doing the things, I just put whatever was left over and swept that into that account. And then all of a sudden, I don't have to think about it anymore.
Yeah.
It's on the back of my mind, and it was automatically happening. Yeah. So, but it took me working through these money stories and being okay with saying, okay, what can I do? Where is my money going? And is it in alignment with who I am? And I'm going to tell you, you know, there was not Starbucks back in the day, but I was big on going to Smoothie King, and it was like back when Smoothie King was like $2.99, guys. Like, I'm old. In the very early days. And I had to start making that myself. And the savings that I had added up to that $25. That's where that came from. It came from, I'm not going to buy the smoothies. I'm going to make them myself.
Right.
It was a simple shift.
It is. And there's one thing that's important when you save, because a lot of times these financial planners are like, save everything you can until you're 70. But then you kind of go through your life and you kind of missed out. So I say definitely save and have a plan. But also when you do indulge, like let's say you've saved $1,000 and you really, really wanted this really nice shirt. You wanted it, it's kind of a splurge. You keep thinking about it. Like it's just something that's really important to you. I just use a shirt as an example. Buy it. Don't go crazy. Don't spend all 1,000, but you need to know, you need to have victories, small victories along the way, and you need to feel the emotion of what wealth feels like. Wealth feels like when you're no longer blocked. It's like, ooh, I can afford that. It wasn't scary. Like I saved up for that shirt. Isn't the material phenomenal? Like I can feel the quality of that shirt. I've wanted it for so long, and every time you wear that shirt, give yourself a mental high five. Like I can afford this. Because the more you tell your brain in a responsible way, within a plan, that you are a wealthy person and you can afford certain things that you love, you're actually taking that exact opposite message of like, don't spend, be careful, don't spend. And you're starting to actually relax and you're starting building the muscle of manifesting. And what happens is you start with $25 and then you'll start to save a little more and play with it a little more. And you're going to realize that you're going to find your flow. And that flow, you'll know it in your body when you found it because it's a feeling. And the feeling is joy, ease, and you're not in fear about like your things. When you really freedom from the money is when you no longer are worrying about your day to day. That's actually a huge, huge victory, just to start with. I know that's hard for a lot of people. I understand that's a really hard thing to do, but I think between the savings, the mindset of feeling wealthy and giving yourself some victories and a plan is a really great place to start.
So you guys heard it here. You've already started. We have started strong today. You are going to look at what you're spending, have an understanding. You're going to know what your money story is. Explore that. And if you don't like it, change it. We get to change it and reinforce it by putting a plan in place that's going to help you get to where you want to be, no matter how small you start. It's all great, but we have to start somewhere. So we're going to start there. And we do have to take a brief break, but we'll be back with JP after these messages.